Life's Little Handbook 7 Lessons for Mastering Life by Tyrone Jackson. Read or narrated by Tyrone Jackson. Before we start this book, I want to extend my warmest welcome and regard for you, the listener. This book is a diamond that was buried inside of me for a very long time, and it's the result of years of inner reflection, journaling, flashes of inspiration, treasures brought back from dream state, and several doses of absolute plain old common sense. But I wanted to share with him because so many people have asked me, Tyrone, how do you seem to find peace in life? How do you do this? How have you been able to make, how can I say this? The common shitstorm. How do you weather those? How do you come out smelling like a rose? And I want to share with you some of the secrets and some of the principles that I've learned that have allowed me to do just that. Okay? So if you guys don't mind, sit back. We're going to open up and go into the book. This book is for you. This book is written for those who struggle with struggling. It is for those who have not yet discovered that they can achieve whatever they desire. It is for those who have, during some quiet moment in their lives, admitted to themselves that they must be doing something wrong. Why? Because at its best, their life isn't quite what they want. For some, life isn't terrible. They have had a decent job and a place to live, but they're unfulfilled. They will rather spend their life somewhere other than their job. They may not want to give more time and pleasure to their family, or they may want to give more time and pleasure to their family. They probably want more money, options, and freedom. For others, life has done its best to break them. Their life ranges from frustrating to meaningless with few moments of happiness scattered in. Nothing seems to go right. Pleasure is short-lived, and there's always something forcing them to do something that they hate doing. They may know what they want to do, but they can't make it support them no matter how they try. Well, if you're either of those two readers, or somewhere in between, you're not alone. Most of humanity has never been taught how to live. Yes, you read that correctly. Taught how to live. Living is a personal art form supported by several unyielding ground rules. For clarity's sake, I call these ground rules natural laws. You can work day and night to fulfill the biggest dreams for yourself, but if you violate one of these laws, you will meet with unexplainable and inevitable failure. This failure will lead to frustration and anger. Through this book series, I will act as your guide. I will explain several of the most important and far-reaching natural laws through what I like to call life lessons. Together we will uncover where you are violating these laws and creating unnecessary suffering and struggle for yourself. We will also help you develop a plan to make living in harmony with these laws effortless. Life's Little Handbook holds out to the reader the hope of an easier, more joyous life by teaching the reader how to understand the most basic principles that govern our existence. The book doesn't stop there, though. It guides the reader step by step through the process of adjusting their goals and habits to conform with natural laws. So if you're ready, let's jump in. Chapter 1. Life's lesson number 1. Beliefs build your world. There is only one earth, but many worlds. This simple statement points to the inherent power that each human being possesses to create his or her own personal reality. This power allows each human being to experience the one earth differently. Put another way, it allows them to create their world or their experience of the one earth. This tendency of life to organize itself around a person's individual belief system can be summed up in our first life lesson. Beliefs build our world. This is why two people can have the exact same background or witness the same event and see two completely different set of facts. Those facts then cause them to choose two completely different courses of action. This is possible because people literally see events through their belief system. Before you offer your belief about this system, Try the following one on for size. It may illustrate my point more clearly. Life is incredibly simple and easy. How does it make you feel to read that statement? Do you recognize the truth of this statement, or do 100 contrary thoughts come rushing into your mind? Do you think about your present relationship, about your struggle to find meaning in your life or in your work? Do you think about Americans' foreign relations and wearily conclude that life is complicated and hard? If you do, you're not alone. Most would agree that life is fairly complicated and routinely unpleasant. They would argue that it involves many undesirable compromises and necessary evils. You may share this view, but how accurate is it? Is it the only way of looking at life? And more importantly, what are the consequences of believing this way? If you look at the belief, life is complicated and usually involves unpleasant trade-offs, it is actually supported by supporting experiences and a deeper, more fundamental core belief about who you are. In order for life to be complicated and usually involve unpleasant trade-offs, there had to have been a string of seemingly unavoidable and unpleasant situations that caused you to compromise on what you wanted from life. These compromises helped to solidify a core belief that you were not capable of having everything you wanted. It created and supported a feeling of unworthiness within you that led to the habitual acceptance of situations and circumstances that did not please you. This habit became so deeply rooted in you that you stopped recognizing that the other alternatives existed at all. You became unconscious to your own belief system. In much the same way that you slide into unconsciousness when you drive to or from work, you have done the routine so many times that you just end up there with little thought or memory. Ending up at home or at work is fine. This is the constructive use for the subconscious mind. Ending up in poverty, stressed, and in perpetual emotional pain is not fine or desired. But just as the habit of driving tends to lead to unconsciousness, so does the habit of perceiving the world. We perceive our reality primarily through unconscious belief patterns that are supported by further still unconscious beliefs about ourselves. This is why this lesson is so important to understand. You create your life experience through your beliefs. If the world you are seeing doesn't please you, you can be sure that there is some unconscious belief pattern creating a negative experience. All right, let's take a moment to kind of go over this part of the chapter. It is an awful lot for a person that doesn't understand, let's say, the law of attraction or how beliefs actually create the world. Let me see if I can draw another example to maybe make this clearer. And let's look at some main themes that are running through this. The first is that, as I just said, beliefs create your world. And just like we live on Earth, everyone lives on Earth, but we all have different worlds or experiences of Earth. And those experiences are limited by our own beliefs about what is possible. For example, many people believe that they have to work hard. I mean, you see it all the time, especially in rural areas or in poorer families. People actually take great pride in their ability to work hard. And the question is, why do you have to work hard? There are many people that have demonstrated in life that hard work is not necessary for success, that it's not necessary for financial freedom. Physical, hard, manual, continuous work is not necessary. In fact, some people have gone so far as to show that when people work like that, their chances of actually succeeding are greatly reduced. And when you consider like millionaires, not even Bill Gates like millionaires, but there are millionaires or people that make more money per hour than is actually possible to exchange for physical labor. So like a person that makes, let's say $365 million in a year. That's literally $1 million a day. What amount of labor could you actually do to make $1 million in a day? It's something to really think about. There's no amount of hard work that can actually equal that rate of pay. So the question is, why do people believe that working hard is the only way to succeed? This is most likely a belief that was passed on to them when they were very young. And so when there are opportunities to actually make money without hard work, they don't even really see them. And they surely don't try them because they've already said that anything that equals success without hard work cannot be possible. And so in that way, you can see how that one belief literally cuts that person off from an entire range of experience that would be possible if they didn't have that belief. Like, for example, trading stocks or trading currencies. It's not hard work at all, but people make a lot of money sitting in front of the computer a couple hours a day, as opposed to getting up and going to work for 9 or 10 hours a day. But the person who believes that you have to work hard would not even consider a job like that or consider making money like that. And so in that way, the person who has narrowed his experience of life to his core belief that you have to work hard, that person misses out on an opportunity for having life work for them or life be easier. The second theme that kind of runs through these first couple of pages, and I made one mention of it, is the subconscious mind, or what I like to call unconscious patterns of behavior. And I gave the example of driving. Anybody who's driven for any length of time has recognized this tendency. You start driving, and then all of a sudden you're just there. You're just where you ended up going. You don't really remember much of the trip. What happened? What happened is you were performing a routine task, very much like tying your shoe. When you were young and you first learned how to tie your shoe, it took great attention and great care and great detail because you were trying to master the art. But after you figured out that you can pretty much do it without looking at your hands, less and less attention went into it. And then you just did it routinely. You don't even think about it. None of your conscious mind is actually involved with tying your shoe. Just as when you make routine driving trips, none of your conscious mind is really there. And so the subconscious mind is a pattern, a neurological pattern that the body or the mind goes through periodically, goes through rather repeatedly or rather routinely, enough so that there are grooves made. So it's like, even though it's, let's say you have several different choices, at every point, you will choose the road that has been traveled the most without even thinking about it. So let's say there's two ways to get to grandma's house. You could take the freeway or you could take the street. You've taken the street for 10 years. So when you go out to grandma's house, you automatically default to the street. And it actually takes conscious interference for you to actually jump onto the freeway and move away from your established path. And in the same way, these core beliefs that we have, like life is hard or routinely unpleasant, or you have to work hard to make money, they become so routinely practiced and so regularly applied that we don't even recognize them anymore. We don't recognize them until they're actually challenged. And that's what we're going to do a little bit further in this book. And this is what this question is about. Life is incredibly simple and easy. It is a question or a statement that actually challenges one or many of your own core beliefs, because you may not have ever thought that life was supposed to be simple and easy, and surely your present experience has been anything but that. But I'm telling you that life is simple and easy. That is my experience, and because it is my experience and it is other people's experience, it means that that possibility is open to you. It's just, it can be a part of your world as much as hardship can be. And the question that you have to look at is, why haven't you allowed that to be your experience? What belief systems do you have in place that are blocking your experience of the easiness or the ease and the simplicity of life? And so this book is about really bringing that to the surface so you can make a conscious decision to hop onto the freeway and get to grandma's house a lot faster. Notes to self. Feel free to write notes and answers to questions asked in these sections. Where in your life have you compromised something that you really wanted? How did it feel? What are you compromising right now? Do you believe that it's possible to have exactly what you want without compromise? All right. Those are very interesting questions. And in fact, I tied this statement of compromising to this core belief that you've gotten used to making unpleasant decisions. Now, what makes an unpleasant decision? If you just break down the mechanics, really, when you're in an unpleasant situation, you're doing something or being forced to do something that you don't want to do. So it means that you're giving up generally something that you want to be forced to do something that you don't want. Most people believe that life is a series of these wanted/unwanted trade-offs. Very few people believe that life can be a win-win situation where I win, you win, I get everything that I want, and you can get everything that I want. And in fact, there's plenty of evidence that tries to destroy that reality. For example, politics. Being a man, being a woman, being a father, getting older. There are many different dynamics that say, okay, there's something that you have to give up. Like when you're getting older, most people believe that with age comes frailty. So as you get older, you may gain wisdom, but your body starts acting crazy. And all of a sudden, you can't do the things that you used to do or that you want to do. Some people may feel that way about marriage. You know, with marriage comes financial stability and companionship, but you've just picked up a ball and chain. Now you can't do the things that you want to do because you always have to compromise your desires with your wife or husband. Then there's children and all these other things that can be both joy as well as pain. And so these are different ways that this core belief of life being hard and full of unpleasant decisions or circumstances, these are all expressions of that one core belief. And I'm telling you that they don't have to be core expressions of that. You don't have to have this one core belief literally shaping your life. And so what we're trying to get down to when we asked about compromising is to show you, hey, look, you felt that you had to compromise something. Let's say old age. So you're getting older. And as you're getting older, there's something you can't help time passing. But as you get older, you look around and you see all these older people, and many of them are just in terrible shape. The bent over canes, have oxygen masks, balding, gray hair, they're out of shape, they can't move very fast, even though they may not have to go to work anymore. But there are also examples of 70 and 80-year-olds that are incredibly vibrant, that are full of life. And the thing is, if you can see this example, you can recognize that you can grow older. Let's say you may have financial freedom that comes with becoming older or living longer, but you could also have vitality and joy and activity and flexibility and strength and vigor even in your old age. Old age does not have to come with these downsides that everyone frequently sees. And the key is first of all, erasing that belief system. And once you erase it, you'll be able to see examples where the actual positive belief or the fact that life is easy and simple and joyous and beneficial, where you can see that belief in action. But first you have to acknowledge that the belief system that you have may be shaping the experience that you're experiencing. So let's continue on with the book, and we'll see where we get. As we're continuing, I want you to name 2 people that you know or that you've heard of who didn't compromise and got exactly what they wanted. I'm not going to give you the whole story, but I want you to check out the story of Sylvester Stallone, the guy behind Rocky. He's a wonderful example and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Check these guys out and see their story and recognize how they had an option, just like many of you. But they believed in themselves and they believed that they could have the best of all worlds. And they held to that belief, and the best of all worlds manifested for them. And I want you to, especially Sylvester Stallone, look at that story and of how he got started with the Rocky franchise. And see if you can see someone who did not compromise. If you don't know someone, that's if you don't know someone in your own life who didn't compromise. But the goal here, this is action step. Find 2 people that you know of or have heard of who didn't compromise and got exactly what they wanted. Continuing on. If you want the world to change, you must identify the belief pattern and change it. This requires seeing something that you don't currently see. It involves becoming conscious of what you are presently unconscious of. Luckily, this is both simple and easy. Do you remember our statement, life is incredibly simple and easy? Do you remember how it made you feel? We identified some of the unconscious belief patterns and core beliefs that caused you to feel the way you felt. But we did not find out how to go about correcting those unconscious belief patterns and core beliefs. We'll do that now. Just like the belief of complication has supporting experiences, belief patterns, and core beliefs about who you are, the belief of simplicity and ease has supporting experiences, belief patterns, and a core self-image too. The process of shifting from an undesired belief pattern and self-image to a preferred one involves building new supporting experiences. These supporting experiences will support a new pattern of belief, and ultimately, this new pattern of belief will create a new self-image or core belief about who you are. Let's walk through the process. Let's start with our statement. Life is incredibly simple and easy. I know you still have doubts, but stay with me. I don't need or want you to believe in the statement. All I want you to do is think about the statement. I want to ask yourself the question, is life incredibly simple and easy for anyone? Of course it is. Eventually you have to admit, and you may be a little upset by this fact as well, that life is incredibly easy for some people. You may know some of these people. You know, those are the few that are just lucky beyond all understanding. They just breeze through life. They get everything they want and make you sick in the process. Their only saving grace is that they're actually pretty cool people. Then there are the wealthy. I could go on about them, but I think I've made my point. There are some people who experience an incredibly simple and easy life. Unfortunately, you're just not one of them. If you're still with me, pat yourself on the back. We've just hit a major milestone. We have introduced something to your conscious awareness or perception. You may not even realize it yet because it is so very subtle. We introduced the idea to your subconscious that it is possible to live an incredibly simple and easy life. Even if you're not living the easy, simple life, it is possible that someone else is. If you were to revisit the statement and think about your earlier resistance, you will discover that you did not really believe that it was a possibility before. In fact, when you thought about the rich and famous, you probably found yourself thinking about more money bringing more problems, or more money complicating life. But here you can see that wealth is not a prerequisite for ease and simplicity. Now, for the readers that still cannot think of anyone who lives a fairly simple life or a life of simplicity and ease, I want you to think of a period in your life or a friend's life where things worked effortlessly and beautifully. Think about a period, no matter how short or distant, where simplicity and ease was evident. Frequently, people find moments like these when they're newly in love. When you find that moment, even if it was just for a short time, realize that you have just moved the idea of simplicity and ease from the practically impossible to the possible. This is a huge step. The next step is to understand that if it is possible for one person to live in that way, it must be possible for others to live that way as well. This is where we will begin to build our experiential support. An amazing thing about humans is that we often develop beliefs without the aid of personal experience. We hold many beliefs that are supported by other people's experience and stories. Think about it. Most Americans would agree that the USA is the greatest place on earth to live. Most hold this belief without ever having left America's shores. Much like the beliefs we currently hold, new ones don't require personal experience either. You can borrow from other people's experiences. For a long time, I wondered if I could ever make a success of my life. I didn't know anyone successful in the way that I wanted to succeed. I wanted to be a successful businessman, own an island, and live in a castle. I felt like being African American would make an already uphill battle nearly impossible. Somewhere, even in the midst of my doubt and fear, I believed that it could be done. But my belief was not strong enough to spur me into action. So I looked for stories to support my belief. I found one such story in a little book called The Pursuit of Happiness by Chris Gardner. His experience filled me with courage and pushed me to strive toward financial independence despite my circumstances. Chris Gardner, later played by Will Smith, had nothing. He had no job, no home, no car, and no money after struggling to make a hopeless business situation work. On top of all that, he had a son to take care of. One day, as he was falling toward rock bottom, he decided to become a stock picker. All odds were against him. He had to go through an intensive training course while he and his son slept in a train station restroom. He eventually overcame every obstacle and became quite wealthy. Reading about his experience gave me hope and helped me to understand that you can dream big no matter where you are. Chris Gardner showed me that I could succeed too if I refused to accept failure. The pursuit of happiness played a major role in reshaping my self-image. I saw myself as capable of succeeding. It also reshaped my understanding of the universe. I began to see that the universe literally reorganizes itself to aid those who refuse to accept failure. I saw this phenomenon in Chris Gardner's story, in the countless others' story, and finally in my own life experience. If you are to rebuild your image of yourself, you must search for the types of experiences that support the beliefs that you want to believe or the experiences that you want to experience. Let me repeat that. If you are to rebuild your image of yourself, you must search for the types of experiences that support the beliefs that you want to believe or the experiences that you want to experience. As you expose yourself to them, your core belief will begin to change. You will start to recognize that the people in the stories are no different from yourselves. They did it and you can too. You will recognize, like I did, that the universe does support you, and life will indeed support your belief in yourself. How will you know when it's working? I'm glad that you asked. You will know that you're making progress when you begin to see examples of the new belief in your life. Evidence may be small and seemingly inconsequential. In fact, you may not realize that the new experience even happened until well after the event took place. But these events will mark an enormous shift within you. You will begin to see things in your past that you never noticed that aligned with your desired belief. As you pay attention to them, they will become more and more frequent. Then one day you will stand at a crossroad. You will be faced with an experience that will present an opportunity to choose between the old belief and the new. Usually, this opportunity will present the old belief glamorously. It will have some incredible short-term benefit, and the new belief will appear to lead off into the unknown. Choosing the new belief will scare you unless you recognize it as the crossroad between who you were and who you want to become. You will make a choice. If you choose the old belief system, you will watch the benefit disappear into meaninglessness, and you will come back to that point of choosing again. When the choice presents itself again, you will recognize it, and the glamour of the old belief will not be so appealing. But if you choose the new pattern, fear will be replaced with empowerment, opportunity, and hope. You will see a different world. You won't even recognize the world you used to see. New people will flood into your life to support and love you. You will notice a change in your perception. You won't enjoy many of the old things that you used to enjoy or people that you used to accompany. You will begin anew. You will have become a new person and will be living in an incredibly simple and easy world. After this process, you will revisit our statement. Life is incredibly simple and easy. And you will be filled with gratitude and resonance that it is. You won't know how. You will just know that it actually is. Memories will flood your mind, reminding you of how things that you wanted just appeared. You will remember how wonderful your new partner is. You will remember and appreciate how you just saw the most beautiful sunset and had someone buy you lunch. You will think about how the Creator has placed you in this world and allowed you to have any experience that you want. You will smile in your heart, and you will know that life truly is simple and easy. More notes to self. Oh my God, I recognize my choice. Life is creating a scenario where I have to choose between old unwanted beliefs and new desired ones. The old belief choice is attractive to me because of what? This is where you write down what your two options are and try to identify how the old belief falls in line, or the choice for the old belief falls in line with the way you used to think. And then also write down why you're choosing the new belief, because it falls in line with something that you actually want to believe. And then write down your choice. I choose to. And then once you do that, once you've taken that step, I want you to write down 2 instances where you saw your new belief manifest. Simple enough? I think so. All right, let's move on to this next chapter.